Today we're going to look at editing in Google Sheets. The first thing I want to look at is the find and replace functionality on Google Sheets. It can be very useful for bulk editing. If I take an example here, I have two dates set in column A, but the date delimiter in each of the dates is a decimal point or a full stop. Google Sheets doesn't recognize that as a legitimate date separator. So what we need to do is to change these decimal points to forward slashes so that Google Sheets will recognize these as dates. I can actually look at these dates as well and know that Google Sheets doesn't see these as dates. In a spreadsheet, a date is treated as a number, and all numbers align naturally to the right of the cell. Now if I type in a number here, the number naturally aligns to the right of the cell. But quite clearly here, these dates are aligning to the left of the cell. And when data aligns to the left of the cell, it means that the spreadsheet recognizes those dates as being text. So how do I change these in bulk? Well, I can do it by the edit, find and replace utility. So I can tell Google Sheets to find all instances of a decimal point and replace with a forward slash. Now the next part where it says search is actually relates to the scope. So if I leave that as is, it will actually look for every instance of a decimal point and replace with a forward slash across all sheets in file, and I don't want that. I want to literally limit it to these two cells here. So I can click on specific range and select A1 colon A2 because they are the two cells that have decimal points that I want to replace, and then I can click on replace all, and there we can see at the top of the screen the decimal points have been replaced by forward slashes, and also they're now legitimate dates. Also in cell C1 the email address hasn't been changed because there are decimal points in the email address that haven't been replaced with forward slashes, which is what I wanted to achieve. If I made a mistake and I actually did the find and replace on this sheet, I can go on to the next editing tool, which is very useful, which is the undo. And they're right here on the taskbar, and this leftward facing arrow, if I just click it, it will undo the last change. If I clicked it again, it will undo the previous change that I made. So the dates, but I want to also redo that because I do want this change, but I didn't want the email address change. So I click the redo once. The next edit feature I wanted to look at is the copy sheet feature. If you go down to the status bar at the bottom to where the sheets tab names are, if you click on the drop down arrow of any of the sheets, there are some editing tools available. And the one that I want is to copy the sheet, and I can click on duplicate and I immediately get a duplication of my original sheet. It defaults its name to copy of sheet 1, but I can actually rename it by selecting rename or double clicking to rename it as something else. I can also take a sheet and I can select copy to, and what this does is it actually copies it to another sheet. So I can select it to this other spreadsheet and click on select, and it'll take a copy of the sheet and move it into this spreadsheet as well. The next feature I wanted to look at was copy and paste special. If I take this small table here, we're under the age next birthday, there's a formula that calculates an age for me. But sometimes I want to just have the values. Sometimes remove the formula but leave the values behind. And I could do this with paste special. I'll just highlight one cell and right click copy, and then right click paste special values. Nothing much has changed, but if you look on the formula bar, the actual value is 44. The formula behind that value has now disappeared. Now that's because I copied over the cell itself just to leave the value behind. I didn't copy the cell below it, and it has the formula still behind the function. That's copy and paste special. You don't have to copy over the destination cell. You can copy to another sheet or somewhere else in the same workbook. If I go right click, paste special, paste values only, And there we have it. There's no formula there, and there's no formula there, just the values. And the other thing that has been left behind is the formatting. It's just plain text. Another advantage, if I just go back to the original table and do Control and C to copy it, I can use paste special and paste transpose. What transpose does is it turns the data at 90 degrees. So what used to be the top row is now the first column. What was the second row is now the second column. What was the third row is now the third column. And it has kept the formulas that were in the original table together, but updated the relative referencing of the formulas. Thank you very much.